I have about 20, 30 exclusives and like 30 third-party games, something, I don't know. I have like 50-some games that we're going to be talking about just because I wanted to give you guys as much variety as possible while also touching on both the exclusives and the third-party side of things. So let's go ahead and touch on some of the exclusives. This is not a comprehensive list. This is just a basic list of like 50 games to get you off and rolling, and then, hey, if you guys ever need any more game recommendations, you know I'm your guy. I've played thousands of games in my day, alright? If you guys ever need any recommendations for games, just hit me up in the comments, hit me up in the DMs of one of my social medias. You know I got you. But anyway, let's go over the exclusives. First up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Spider-Man, the one that released in 2018. This is hands down one of the best Spider-Man games, one of the best superhero games, and just let alone one of the best games of all time. It is one of my favorite games of all time. This game is absolutely fantastic. If you're like me and you grew up with the Spider-Man 2 game, the one from 2004, you know, based on the Tobey Maguire movie, this one takes like everything that you probably would have loved about that game, between the amazing web swinging, the combat, just the story, everything about it, and it just brings it to like, you know, the modern era and a newer generation, you know what I mean? It is also worth noting that for a lot of the games we're going to be talking about, there is remastered versions available on PS5 if, you know, you want to get it running like a fancy 4K, 60 FPS, whatever. But, you know, we're talking about the PS4 here, and that's where the game initially released. I feel like Spider-Man is one of those must-have games if you get a PS4. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend God of War. This one also released in 2018. It is a continuation of the God of War games from back in the day, but it's very much its own thing, right? Like, it's still kind of hack and slashy, but not in like the Devil May Cry and Ninja Gaiden way that we saw back in the day. This is much more third person, over the shoulder, still hacking and slashing, still a lot of combat, but a little bit slower, but still just as intense and gritty. You guys know the movie Logan, or even if you just read comic books like the Old Man Logan story, that's basically what God of War 2018 is. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend The Last of Us Remastered and Part 2. I'm just kind of bundling both of these in here. Actually, that is one thing I forgot to show off. I wanted to show what the games look like just so you guys know. This is what a PS4 case looks like. There's the side, and there's the back. It comes in a blue case. If you get a PlayStation Hits copy of a game, which I would never recommend just because they look ugly, this will be red, and the side will be red, and the whole side will kind of just be consumed in red. Again, I don't recommend that because PlayStation Hits games look ugly. If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know I hate Greatest Hits, Player's Choice, you know, PlayStation Hits, anything like that. I just like my default copies that actually look good. Oh, and usually you can tell if a game's a PS4 exclusive because it'll usually say only on PlayStation at the top there, so yeah, The Last of Us Remastered in Part 2, I'm not going to talk about those games just because it's very hard to talk about them without spoiling anything. I feel like they're games where if you can go into it as blind as possible, knowing literally nothing, that's going to be the best way to experience those games. I will just say they are both in my top 5 favorite games of all time, and they've changed me. Just straight up as a person, it changed me forever, and I cry every time I go back to play those games. Not just because they're sad, but because they're so real, raw, gritty, and human, and it's astonishing and very admirable that Naughty Dog had the guts that they did to make those games and tell the stories that they did so unapologetically and in such a raw manner. Those games are some of the best games ever made. Please play them. Next up, we have Detroit Become Human. This is another game that I don't want to talk too much about, but it's very similar to, say, games like Life is Strange or Heavy Rain or the Walking Dead games, which we're going to be talking about a little later on here, where it's more story-based. You know, you just kind of like, it's sort of like watching a movie, but there's still gameplay elements here and there. It's a very good game. It's one of those games where there's also a lot of choices along the way, depending on, you know, what dialogue choices you want to make, what actions you want to make. It can result in different outcomes and all that, so I highly recommend Detroit Become Human. It is a very, very, very good game, and it'll definitely get you thinking. Next up, we have Horizon Zero Dawn, which is basically like, what if, oh man, what's even a good comparison here? I don't want to say necessarily just like Assassin's Creed, because the game plays nothing like Assassin's Creed, but just think of like a typical Ubisoft game, but if there was mechanical dinosaurs everywhere, and if it was made by Sony, which just means that, you know, the quality bar is just way up here, man. Horizon Zero Dawn is such an amazing game. Both this and its sequel, Forbidden West, which is actually also available on PlayStation 4. It was heavily marketed as a PlayStation 5 game because at its core, it is, but it also released on PlayStation 4. So if you like Horizon Zero Dawn, if you don't have a PS5, but, you know, you want to get Horizon Forbidden West at some point down the line, you can get that. And the same goes for God of War, actually. The sequel, Ragnarok, which released back in 2022, is also available on PS4, even though it was heavily marketed as a PS5 game. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Ghost of Tsushima. This is another one of my favorite games of all time. Basically, in this game, it's similar to Horizon Zero Dawn in the way that it is an open world game, but Ghost of Tsushima is not your typical open world game. This game takes place during the Mongol invasion of Japan, and you play as the main character, hold on, it's been a bit since I've practiced my Japanese, Jin Sakai, it's the name of the main character, or just Jin Sakai if you want to say it as English as possible. But basically, you're gonna be doing a bunch of badass Japanese sword guy stuff. You got your horse in the game that you could ride along on, and this game has one of my favorite photo modes of all time. When I was playing through this game for the first time, I took so many screenshots. I literally made a album in my Photos app just so I could add all of my screenshots of Ghost of Tsushima in it. And I will say, if you play Ghost of Tsushima, if you're like me and you typically just kind of stick to a main quest in a game, maybe sometimes go off and do side quests, I'd recommend doing all of these side quests here in Ghost of Tsushima. It is very relevant to the story. You don't have to do it. You can just stick to the main quest, but I would recommend going off and doing the side quest stuff because you get a lot of important character story moments. You get a lot of just, well, genuinely quality moments in general, right? Like, if you skip out on the side content, you're almost skipping out on half the game. There's a lot of great set pieces, a lot of great character moments. You get to know the characters a lot better, and it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of great content there. It's very similar to, say, Cyberpunk 2077, where you don't have to do the side content, but I feel like you'd really be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't. I just realized we have 50 games to go through, and we're only on the 6th one, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the pace a little bit. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and recommend Death Stranding. Main character's Norman Reedus. That's all I need to say. No, but seriously, some people have fallen off this game in the early hours just because you spend the first bit of the game just delivering packages, and they're kind of like, oh, is this gonna be the entire adventure? No, trust me. Once you get to a few chapters into the game, we'll say, don't want to spoil it necessarily, things really pick up and go in some crazy directions. It is a very good game, and one that will definitely go like this to your expectations. It went to some places I was not expecting it to go to. It is a fantastic game. Please play Death Stranding, and please give it a fair chance. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Bloodborne. This is, you know, another one of the Souls-like games. Think Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Sekiro. Bloodborne is made by them same folks. You're going to die a lot, but you're also going to be doing a lot of badass stuff in this game. You got, like, the trick weapons, like the Saw Cleaver, such a cool weapon. You can, like, you can, like, hit enemies with it, and then, like, extend it while you're in the middle of a combo, and then do all this crazy stuff. You got, like, you know, a little, like, pistol you can, like, parry enemies with and stuff. Bloodborne's one of my favorite games of all time. Such a good game. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend a bit of a maybe unexpected one, that being The Order 1886. This game didn't get a lot of love when it first released, and, you know, some people kind of panicked, like, oh, it's, you know, it's a short game, this, that, or the other. I always thought the whole short versus long game thing was such an irrelevant and moronic argument. I really don't care how long my game is. I would happily pay $70 for a 3-hour experience if that 3-hour experience is the best 3 hours of my life. But likewise, I wouldn't necessarily just put down $70 for a game that's 500 hours just because it's 500 hours. If it's full of a bunch of bloated nonsense, then, you know, why the hell would I waste my time or my money? That being said, The Order 1886 is definitely a quality experience, and I highly recommend it. And I really always like the presentation of the game, right? With, like, the letterboxing and just the way the game looks graphically and the way that it plays. It's a really good game. I highly recommend it, and again, it's an exclusive to the PS4. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Until Dawn. This game is similar to Detroit Become Human in the way that you're going to be able to make, you know, various choices throughout the game. It's sort of like a movie in the way that you watch a lot of the game happen, but there is still a lot of gameplay elements in there. I'm sorry if you guys see me blinking and having trouble looking at the camera, man. This LED is, like, starting to really mess with my eyes, man. It's so bright today for some reason. But do keep in mind that Until Dawn is a horror game, so, you know, if you get spooked real easy, then maybe just kind of consider this one. But yeah, Until Dawn, it can be a bit spooky. You know, I've played a lot of horror games in my day, and it even had me jumping out of my seat. So just, you know, do keep that in mind. But it's a very good game. I wouldn't let that detract you. It's a very good game. I really think you should play it. Uncharted 4, it is worth playing the first 3 games before you play this one. Like, you know, if you're new to Uncharted, I recommend going back and playing the first 3 games, which you can do on PS4, thankfully, through the Nathan Drake collection. But, you know, if you wanted to, you could dive into Uncharted 4 blind. Again, I feel like it would be worth having some of the context just so you can really, like, fall in love with the characters and really understand the relationships going into Uncharted 4. But, you know, even if you don't do that for one reason or another, Uncharted 4 stands on its own as an amazing time, a great adventure, and, you know, I'm just smiling right now because I'm thinking back to my first time playing that game, and gosh, dude, it almost makes me want to tear up. I had such a good time with that game. I really need to go back and replay it at some point here. It is such a good game. Please play Uncharted 4. Next up, we got Killzone Shadowfall, which is unfortunately the most recent entry in PlayStation's first-person shooter Killzone series. It's still unfortunate that this was the last one. Not, you know, not due to the quality of the game or anything. You know, it's a great game. It's just unfortunate because, like where's Killzone, man? Like, Sony's just sitting on all these IPs. They aren't doing nothing with them. Great game, though. Next up, I want to recommend Concrete Genie, which is a super underrated game. It's really hard to explain the game. It's very artistically driven, but it's really cool because it lets the player take control of that artisticness. I will just say that by the time I rolled credits, I was crying like a baby just because this game is so beautiful, and it's one of those games where it's just, It truly is an experience, and I really feel like everybody should play it at least once if they get the chance. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Ratchet & Clank, which is a remake of the original PS2 Ratchet & Clank game. It also ties into the Ratchet & Clank movie. Fantastic game. Next up, we have another remake, that being Shadow of the Colossus, and oh my gosh, man. For anybody that hasn't played it before, it is also available on PS2. This is just like the remastered version of it. Basically, Shadow of the Colossus is a game where you slay a bunch of big bad bosses. You got these giant, towering, hairy beasts, and you also got like these flying dragon-looking things, and dude, the game makes you feel like such a badass, bro. I remember, honestly, I forget the name of the boss, but I was running, you know, it's the one in like the desert with the giant flying one. I'm not gonna spoil anything, don't worry about it. But it's like this giant boss that like flies around in the air, and you know, you're like running through the desert because you gotta try to keep up with it, then you gotta like try to like jump on it, like attack it and all that. And it's just so badass, right? Like the music gets going, and then your character like screams for its horse. It's like, aggro! And then like your horse like runs in under you, like jump up on it, you're like chasing after the boss, then you like jump off your horse onto the boss, you're like climbing it, like stabbing it in the face and shit. Dude, this game is so badass. If you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus before, do yourself a favor and play this damn game. Next up, I'm gonna recommend Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's a remake of one of the best RPGs of all time, and they're handling this remake a bit differently than you would see from most remakes. Rather than just being a one-to-one conversion, they're splitting the game into 3 different bits. So you got Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then, you know, the third game. But if you want to experience the first part of the trilogy, you can do so here with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Next up, I'm going to recommend a bit of an underrated one, that being Alienation, which is a twin-stick action RPG shooter. Very good game, very underrated, please play it. Next up, I'm going to recommend Gran Turismo Sport, which is Sony's flagship racing franchise. Microsoft/Xbox has Forza, Nintendo has Mario Kart, and yeah, PlayStation has Gran Turismo, and this game is fantastic. Originally, it was online only, but they did add an offline mode down the line, so that is now available. Next up, I'm going to recommend Infamous Second Son, which is very similar to Killzone. This is unfortunately the last Infamous game that we got, which is really unfortunate because this game was also fantastic, and I love Infamous. Next up, I'm going to recommend Entwined, which is another underrated gem that is exclusive to the PS3/PS4/PS Vita. It is this beautiful game about a fish and a bird that are in love, but they simply can't be together yet, you know, despite everything. I won't spoil it, but it is a beautiful game. You can beat it in the span of maybe like an hour or two, but it is so worth the adventure. It made me cry because it was just so beautiful. Next up, we have a bunch of third-party games, and there's even more of these. So I'm going to try to keep the yapping to a minimum. Titanfall 2. It's one of the best first-person shooters I've ever played. Not only is the multiplayer great, and I'm pretty sure it's still alive, but there's also a fantastic campaign that you need to experience at least once. It is so good, man. Next up, I'm going to recommend Borderlands 3. Once again, I love the Borderlands franchise, and Borderlands 3 is fantastic, and you can also play all the other Borderlands games on PS4. You got Borderlands 1, 2, pre-sequel, and 3, but you also got the Tales of the Borderlands games, which are made by Telltale Games, and they're very similar to the more story-based games like Detroit Become Human that we already talked about, but it's still, you know, part of that franchise technically, so if you really want more Borderlands story there after beating those 4 games, you got more. Next, I'm gonna recommend Need for Speed Heat, a great racing game, and then Crash 4, It's About Time. Crash 4 is the long-awaited sequel to one of my favorite 3D platformer games of all time, that being Crash Bandicoot. It's kind of funny how they just kind of skipped over everything that happened after Crash 3, like Wrath of Cortex, Twin Sanity, you know, Mind Over Mutant, none of that ever happened, man. It's just Crash 4, It's About Time, but fantastic game. Definitely pick that one up. Next up, I'm going to recommend The Witcher 3. I think I should just kind of go ahead and just list these off, and I'll just kind of do this with my finger to indicate we're talking about a new game. Yeah, so The Witcher 3, one of the best RPGs of all time. Batman Arkham Knight. You don't necessarily need to play Arkham City and Arkham Asylum first, though I'd recommend doing so if you want more context of the story, but Arkham Knight still stands on its own as an amazing game, as a great story. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Devil May Cry 5. Super fast-paced, super action-heavy. Once again, one of my favorite action games of all time. It is so good, and you really don't need to play the other DMC games first. You can just start with 5, and you'll understand what's going on for the most part with no issue. Next up, I'm gonna recommend Far Cry 5. This one is easily one of the most unique Far Cry games, and it really has you questioning everything by the end of like, wait, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? What's even going on? What is this ending? But, you know, all in a good way. Far Cry 5 is a fantastic game, and it is beautiful. Like, graphically speaking, it is just, whew, chef's kiss mastery is beautiful. Battlefield 1. You gotta play Battlefield 1. The online is still, you know, pretty populated to this day if you want to play multiplayer, but also just experiencing the campaign. The game looks great, you know, graphically, it's very cinematic, and again, the campaign is very unique, because it's not like most games where it's sort of a to B story. No, it's actually a bigger story comprised of a bunch of mini stories, and it's quite a beautiful game. There's a lot of genuinely heart-wrenching and heart-touching moments in this game that you probably wouldn't expect going into it, but it's a really good game. You really got to play it. Next up, we got two that I'm gonna kind of combine into one just for different reasons. We got Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the 2019 reboot, as well as Black Ops 3. So if you want, you know, like campaign, multiplayer, a game that's still alive, go for Modern Warfare 2019. If you just want the zombies though, like that classic Call of Duty zombies experience, Black Ops 3 is your one-stop shop for all the zombies goodness. You got all the World at War, almost all of Black Ops 1, barring Call of the Dead. And barring 5 as well. You got one of the best maps from Black Ops 2, that being Origins, and then all of the amazing Black Ops 3 maps, man. So if you want that zombies goodness, go there. Otherwise, unfortunately, multiplayer is a little dead in Black Ops 3 these days, unfortunately. Obviously, you can still find lobbies, but again, if you buy the DLC, that's a whole thing there, and it's just, you know, the game's getting older at this point, so I'd recommend just getting that game if you're specifically interested in zombies. There is also a campaign in the game, but that one was also hit or miss for a lot of players, unfortunately. So again, that's just that's kind of how it's separated them. But you know, they're both relatively cheap games if you want to pick both up. So if you want the campaign, the multiplayer, and a game that's just more alive, get Modern Warfare 2019. And if you just want the zombies, get Black Ops 3, or you could even get a more recent entry like Modern Warfare 3 or Black Ops 6 if you really want to be like in the weeds with what's going on with Call of Duty at the moment. Going further down the list, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, so I just had to recommend this one. It's still online, still getting updates to this day. Fantastic game. Minecraft, this one's a no dub. It's Minecraft. You gotta have Minecraft if you're buying a new console. GTA 5, this is another no dull one. Dark Souls 3, very similar to Bloodborne that we talked about before. It's one of the Souls games. It is very challenging, but it's a fantastic game. It is a masterpiece. It made me cry when I beat it for the first time. It's a beautiful work of art. Please play Dark Souls 3. It's a masterpiece. Life is Strange, True Colors, similar to Detroit Become Human or Until Dawn. This is more of a story-heavy game where your decisions matter, and you're more gonna be, you know, you're gonna be there along for the ride. You'll still be playing the game, but it is much more of sort of like playing through a movie, you know what I mean? And very similar to that, The Walking Dead Season 1. This game did originally release on like PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, but it was remastered in a way for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, etc. So if you want to pick it up there, you can do so as like the complete package. And they also have a version of the game that includes Season 1, 2, 3, the final season, like some of the spin-offs and all that. But if you were to start anywhere with The Walking Dead games, I recommend starting with Season 1 just because, well, you know, it's Season 1, that's the first game, and the end of it always, don't matter how many times I play it, man. It always gets me. It's a really good game, though. It's fantastic. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and recommend Tetris Effect. Now, you might be like, okay, Tetris, what are we talking about here? But no, Tetris Effect is genuinely it's a game, it's one of my safety games. It's one of my comfort games. It's a game that I replay at least once per year because it is beautiful. The music, the vibes, the gameplay, the way it all meshes together, it is a beautiful game, so take my word for it. Tetris Effect, please pick it up. It is also a part of the PlayStation Plus extra catalog, so, you know, if you get that service we were talking about earlier, you can also play it that way. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Doom 2016. Speaks for itself, it's Doom. Next up, I'm going to recommend Persona 5 Royal. You could also just get Persona 5, but I'd recommend getting 5 Royal just because it's 5, but with more content and with more story, and includes everything that happened during the time skip in the original game, so definitely pick up Persona 5 Royal. It is a longer game, okay? It's gonna take you like over 100 hours to beat, but it's worth every second of it, man. I love Persona in general. Persona 3, 4, 5, you know, any of the other Shin Megami Tensei games. I love everything in that universe, man. They're so good, and more people need to play them. I know the games are getting more popular, but we need more people to play them. Red Dead Redemption 2 speaks for itself. One of the best games of all time. Celeste, a beloved indie gem. Resident Evil 2 Remake, a remake of one of my favorite games of all time. Knocked it out of the park. Diablo 3 for that action RPG goodness. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Similar to Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne, you're gonna get your ass kicked, but it's gonna be worth it every time. Monster Hunter World, one of the best Monster Hunter games of all time. Infinitely replayable. Tons of gear to collect, tons of gear to craft, tons of badass monsters to chase down. Monster Hunter World, trust me, like even if you played one of the newer games like say Wilds or Rise or whatever, still go back and try out World. It is such an amazing game. This next one will require an additional player, but that is It Takes Two. Now, if you're anything like me and you're a loner and you don't have any friends or significant others, then, you know, if you really want to experience this game, you might need to hook up 2 controllers to your console and you know, just gotta play it that way both at the same time. Honestly, I was thinking about trying that because I haven't played It Takes Two yet, just because I don't have any friends or girlfriends or anything. So I was thinking about hooking up 2 like DualShock 4s or 2 DualSenses to my PS5 or whatever, and just going through the game that way. So I'm gonna give it a shot, and we'll see how it works, because I want to experience the game. Next up, I'm gonna recommend Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. This is a remake of the 2 classic Tony Hawk games. Like, come on now. I grew up with the original, you know, first 2 games on the PS1, and they're still some of my favorite games of all time to this day. They're so good, and they knocked it out of the park with the remakes. They're so good. Next up, I'm gonna recommend Mortal Kombat 11, just because, you know, you need a fighting game if you're getting a console. There is also other options available, such as Injustice 2 or Mortal Kombat X, or, you know, like Mortal Kombat 1, but I just feel like 11, when it comes to that overall complete package, considering the fact that this game is, you know, it got all the support that it's gonna get, it got all the DLC it's gonna get. Not to mention the fact that since it is a bit older now and it's gone on sale so many times, you can pick up a copy for like $10 or less at this point, even if it's like a complete edition that includes a bunch of DLC. Can't go wrong with Mortal Kombat 11. Easily one of my favorite Mortal Kombat games, period. And then finally, I'm gonna go ahead and recommend Dead Cells. This is a Metroidvania roguelite, and that's really all I can say about it, man. It is such a gnarly game. It is so good. I love it. It can definitely be a bit challenging, but once you learn the game and once you learn the ropes, you shouldn't have any problem getting through it. You know, it'll take some time, just like any game. It might be a bit of a learning curve there, but it'll definitely be worth it. It is such a good game. But with that, that takes us to the end of our list. I know that was a lengthy list, but I wanted to give you guys a lot of options for games and tell you a bit about the games, just in case you wanted to, you know anything about the games before picking them up. But, you know, here at the end, I did also want to mention just a few free-to-play games, such as, like, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Roblox, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone. Again, if you don't feel like paying for PS Plus and you literally just want a console that can play games for free and, you know, you don't want to worry about any of the other bells and whistles, there's a ton of free-to-play games available that you can, you know, go on there and search through, right? You got, if you want racing games, you got, like, Disney Speedstorm or the Asphalt games. Those are free racing games. If you want first-person shooters or battle royales, already mentioned some of those. If you want a game that can be like literally everything all at once, Fortnite and Roblox have all of those experiences inside of them. So, you know, they're free to play. You don't need to worry about PS Plus. So if you just want something like that, that's also an option.